aquatic plant beds to grow, we're going to have less eelgrass, less Eurasian water milfoil, less curly leaf pondweed, and those exotic invasive plants that we're spending so much to kill every year. This lake has never spent a penny on removing Eurasian water milfoil. They have these native aquatic plant beds all around the lake. They don't have the invasive plants.
Do they have little kids that swim in the water? I mean,
Of course.
kids swim in the water right here. If we go out
They swim
20
off the
feet,
pier.
there's not going to be any shallow water for them kids to swim. I mean,
I think too, you know, where your property is too is a huge deal. Like, you probably have a little bit more trouble because you're on a point. I just put glacial rock in at the beginning of last summer, and in the spring, my kids put the rock, you know, kind of redid it a little bit from the ice action.
From the winter.
And we took off the leaves, and then the first time I had to clean anything out of those rocks was yesterday. I mean, I really thought I'd have a lot of seaweed all summer.
And it's by Mark Myers. And Mark went to Goshen College. He has had the Myers landscaping for 29 years.
Maybe a little bit prettier, more popular things that I brought. And I scoured my nursery to try and come up with a nice set of what most people would agree is a native plant or perennial. I did focus on perennials. There's one shrub there, shorter things. Some of the pictures, which, you know, if privacy was important, would do a good job. But the harsh reality, as much as we would all like to think natural shorelines would be wonderful, for each homeowner, for each investor who maybe has 50 feet of this precious shoreline, if it looked like some of the pictures, most people don't want it. And that's where I guess the baby steps. Educating the advantages, that is good. Boy, if we're talking to people my age or a little older who maybe have bought a lake property, they're pretty protective with what we're going to do. We want to see if our kids are in the water, and if there's things that are more than knee high, we're not comfortable with that. Most of people around these two lakes probably don't really want a natural shoreline. So how do we make a little progress there? And I guess the perspective that I'm coming from is almost with the exception that I could name of maybe 2 individuals over the last couple of years, if this doesn't have flowers and colorful, I do not have room on my 50 feet for it. And that is the challenge for me. To exacerbate that challenge, I really wanted to have sand in our climate, prepared them to handle every so often a winter like last winter. Most of the bugs, although unfortunately the bugs that are giving us the most trouble now are imported bugs that our natives weren't prepared for, which starts to kind of beg your question that maybe we do need to consider that. It gets incredibly complicated incredibly quickly. There are a few non-natives that I think are all that in a handbasket. I see them being disease-free. I see animals that we kind of like to encourage using them and sharing them. Didn't put any of them on this list if they weren't natives. But that is a really good practical question. And I'm a pretty practical person, so I actually side considerably with that approach. If it is an attractive plant, it gets good feedback, it seems to be not getting carried away, causing issues. It's not, if we're having to spray this, we're just introducing chemicals, if we're having to fertilize it regularly, unnecessarily, I want to stay away from them, but there are some non-natives that to me are fair game. Now, back to the natives, there tend to be some really good general advantages, particularly when you get up to these prairie type plants They are extraordinarily deep. The ones that worked is when I usually got something started, maybe up a little higher, and it found a happy place, a little closer than I would have thought to the water, but now it's working, and you know, it may not be the 6 or 7 varieties that I wished might work there, but if 2 of them do, that's really something. So I guess the thing I would emphasize is really consider that a foot or 2 of elevation, presence of a seawall, which again, you don't hear a lot of them coming out, I appreciate you sharing. They are pretty much there, and they would be a chore to take out. So adding the glacial stone in front, if maybe you can get some plantings there started, or better yet, if some start naturally, that's great. But then using some natives up above the seawall, but they're probably not going to be shoreline natives, or what's narrowly thought of as shoreline natives.